This is Leaders of B2B Alternative Financing, powered by Capital Express. Our guest today is Kait Martin, Director of Operations at Dune Funding. And now here's your host, Mark Knutson.
Kait, thanks for joining us today on this podcast show for leaders in alternative finance. So just real briefly, I know we know each other personally from meeting at conferences, but what does Dune Funding do?
So we are an alternative lender. We specialize in two different arenas here. So we do invoice factoring, and then we also do real estate finance. So we work with real estate investors to purchase and hold properties.
I saw on your website, you guys do fix and flip. So you guys specialize in house flipping type loans?
So really how it works is, especially in Ohio, the real estate industry here is booming. Ohio is the third fastest growing state in the Midwest. There's a lot of distressed houses here because a lot of these were built in the 1950s. So people don't necessarily want to live there anymore. So they just kind of sit. So a lot of people have now started buying these distressed properties, putting money into them, and then either holding them as a rental or selling them for a profit.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was happening in Ohio right now. Cool.
Yeah, it is insane.
Yeah. So what do you do at Dune Funding? What's your role?
I am the wearer of all hats.
Okay.
So my official title is Director of Operations, but truthfully, I'm sure everyone in alternative finance knows this. You always wear a lot of hats. And so I kind of high level overview all of our sales, underwriting, accounting, really anything you can name. I do it all.
I think that's why we connected early on. I'm also the Director of Operations, which just means you just got to do whatever comes up. That's what you're dealing with today.
That is so true. It keeps us on our toes, though.
So how did you get into alternative finance? What were you doing before?
I come from an accounting background. So straight out of college, I started in the real estate industry working as a senior accountant. And then as the years went on, I eventually became the accounting controller. And I was just bored, to be honest. I felt like I had tapped out what I needed to learn, I guess, at that point. And I just felt like I wasn't really being challenged anymore. And I was just eager to try something new. That was all I had ever done. So I was interested to try something new, but I didn't know necessarily what that would be at that point. And then I got a call. A local person here in Columbus, Ohio was wanting to build a factoring company. And at that point, I was like, I don't even know what factoring is. Give me the weekend to kind of look into this. So I looked into it and it seemed really interesting. It made sense, especially I've always worked for a small business, so I understand the need for it. And I kind of just jumped off the edge and said, let's do it. And here I am 3 years later.
Yeah, so it's only been 3 years. Okay.
It's only been
I feel like you have a lot more knowledge and experience than just 3 years. I've been doing this for 28 years now. And wow.
I thought you were only 28. How is that possible?
I started as a baby. I was a very smart baby. I was very good with underwriting and uploading invoices and verifications as a toddler.
I can see that. I do feel like accounting and alternative finance go really hand in hand, though, because I think I learned how to look at financial statements, but alternative finance has taught me that the context around the financial statements and the underwriting, that's what's important. It's like you can have two identical sets of documents, but the story behind them can be very different, and that can lead to a very different output.
I talked to a lot of different people in factoring, and it's always interesting to me to hear what the businesses that are factoring with you, what do they do with the funds? What are you seeing these days?
I would say about 75% of our portfolio is staffing. So we're more of a general factor. Most of those staffing clients are using it for payroll. So It's more of a weekly cyclical cycle where every week they're uploading invoices on Tuesday because their payroll's pulling on Thursday. That's the majority of our clients, is it's just payroll funding so that they can make payroll each week and their clients are taking 30 days to pay. We do have a few construction clients. They're also using it similarly to pay their subcontractors. So I would say most people that are utilizing it are utilizing either to make payroll or to almost mobilize their teams when they bring on a new contract.
Nice. Yeah, I think staffing is kind of the dream factoring client, right? Because those invoices don't go to 90 days. They go to 30, so 15 days. So it's a really good turn on those invoices. Are you seeing newer businesses? Are you doing like maybe not startup with no customers, but maybe businesses that are still in startup phase?
Yeah, I see a lot of that. And honestly, those are my favorite just because My whole team, I think we really enjoy the hand-holding part of it, which hand-holding in theory doesn't sound fun, but we all like to help where we can. And so that's part of factoring that we've all really came to love, is that not only are we doing this for our company, Dune Funding, but we're also helping and are being like an extension to all of the companies we work with. And that's especially needed in startups and newer businesses, just because they don't necessarily have bookkeepers, they don't understand what financials are, and they don't really know how to pull together the package that's needed to apply for factoring or apply for a loan.
What are some of the things, now that you've been doing this for a while and you do a lot of onboarding, what are some things you wish businesses did before they ever said, hey, I need factoring? How can they prepare?
The biggest one is accounting, which I say as an accountant, I don't think that's prioritized enough. I don't think people realize how important it is to track their financial data outside of applying for a loan. Just even in the staffing industry, margins are thin. It's really hard to be profitable if you don't know what you're making and what you're spending. So I think that's where a lot of, especially the smaller businesses, go wrong out of the gate, is that they're not setting their financials up. They don't have a bookkeeper. They don't have QuickBooks. They're not tracking anything. And so then they come to apply for factoring. And at that point, it's an emergency. They're like, I need these funds. Right. And that's not something you can really pull together at the drop of a hat. And so that's the biggest lag time I see, is that they have everything else together, but they don't have financials. And so that causes a delay.
So it's funny. The question I'm going to ask is, can you share some success stories with me? But really, every business that goes from not being able to cash flow their business to getting on factoring or some type of alternative financing, that's a success that now they're able to cash flow their business. But are there any clients, and you don't have to say their name or anything, maybe some of their stories, where they were before they came to Dune and where they're at today?
I would say the biggest one that sticks out to me is a staffing client who does permanent placements, which a lot of factors won't touch. And they were really struggling to get financing, even though they're a profitable business. They have a great team. They know what they're doing. And so when they came to us, we were probably the fifth or sixth factor that they had spoke to after being denied from all the previous ones. And so they were not expecting good news. It was the Hail Mary where they were just coming in like hoping that they would get a yes, but they didn't expect it. And so they started out doing probably $500K annually. And now they're up to 3 million. And that was solely just because they could factor the invoices, bring on new salespeople, incentivize their salespeople with quicker commissions payouts by utilizing the funds from factoring. So I think that's our biggest success story, especially for those industries that factors don't want to touch just because they're riskier.
I didn't realize that the permanent placement staffing, there was a difference between the temporary staff. I've learned something on my own podcast. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but do you have any like funny stories? Maybe a business did something crazy?
One of the first factoring clients I ever closed, we were very, very new, probably 6 months into Dune Funding and doing this thing. And I knew it was riskier, but we were just willing to do it. We were like, let's see how this goes. And so we had done the relationship for probably 3 months. And then I stopped getting calls back. This guy will not call me back. And I'm thinking, that's so weird. We talk all the time. He'll only email me now. He will not call me. And I kept thinking something is up here. Turns out he got arrested for something and was in federal prison.
Oh, no.
And so luckily we got out of the deal unscathed and everything turned out fine. But that story always sticks with me because genuinely it was the most crazy thing during the time that it was happening. Now I look back and I'm like, could have been worse. But during the time, it was very crazy.
Yeah, that's scary. And that's the beauty of a factoring line of credit, is it's self-liquidating. And if the debtors are paying to the lockbox, it doesn't matter if the business owner goes to jail, right? You were recently nominated as a Next Gen Rising Star. What does that mean to you, Kait? What does that mean to you?
To me, truthfully, it meant a lot just because coming into this industry, it's very hard to feel like you don't know what you're doing. And I think a lot of us have a very similar story of just being thrown into the deep end and you just figure it out. And so for me, it was really validating, to be honest, that, okay, we really are doing this. We're succeeding at this. It's going extremely well. But also it just meant a lot for the people on the board that make that choice. I have great relationships with all of them, but for them to choose me also meant a lot because there are so many awesome people in this space that are equally deserving of that award. So I would say it was very meaningful.
That's great. And well deserved, because it's funny that I learned today that you've only been in the business for 3 years. I think I met you about 3 years ago when we were talking about, ABL and things like that. Now you're kind of, to me, you're the highest person in the factoring world. What is your take on factoring and alternative finance going forward? What does it look like?
With the rise of AI, I think that decisions are going to start being made quicker. Verifications are going to be done more quick. So I think things are just going to really speed up in terms of the process of getting people approved and also the process of servicing it. But I also think human judgment can never be replaced by AI. So I feel like that's one piece that's going to stay the same, is that a lot of factoring relies on gut and character. And I don't think that can be outsourced to a machine. So I see everything else speeding up and getting more quick, and that piece remaining the same is where I see it.
Kait, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
This is Leaders of B2B Alternative Financing, powered by Capital Express.